So on today's episode, we have Sriram with us. Sriram is a mechanical engineer from Manipal. Sriram, before we start, first of all, welcome. And can you give me a little bit background about yourself and help me understand more about you?
Yes, hi. So, like you introduced me, my name is Shiram. I did do my mechanical engineering from Manipal, but going before that, so I was born in Hyderabad, but never lived here until class 7. So I've had the opportunity of moving around 4 different states, and then I finally came back to Hyderabad for some reasons. Then did my schooling here, and then was giving my entrance exams for engineering. And then one of the options was indeed Manipal. And then I was weighing it against the other options that we had, and I remember reaching out to my faculty for advice, and I remember distinctly one of them said, assuming you did the best in the exams, and let's say you found some local university or college nearby, weigh weigh the pros and cons, see how it goes, and it was rather, like I said, so I had the history of moving around and meeting with, living at different places and mixing with different cultures. So I was still open to a multicultural background thing, and then also the infrastructure and the whole thing as such. So with the facilities and everything, and that is where I chose. Okay, even though I would have cracked some universities nearby, stay closer to home, I thought Manipal was the best option, and there we go. And we land up during counseling of Manipal, and then again the next choice where I pretty much could take a pick of any branch we wanted, but uh, I do not come from a background of engineers, as in my parents aren't engineers, neither is my sister. Um but I am surrounded by a extended family who are a lot of engineers, and I did reach out to them, elder cousins, and finally chose mechanical as again one distinct logic I remember from one of my cousins. Being a mechanical engineer, you could still learn computer science if you really want to on your own time, but not the other way around. So yeah, that's how I ended up being a mechanical engineer in Manipal.
Cool. So I think this is an interesting story of how you landed up in mechanical. Let me ask you this: like, what, did you always know that you were going to be in a core job, and like, how was college and how were placements like? Because I mean, what was the process which led you to this, right? Because you have been in a core job since so long now. So were you
Yeah.
always aware of this?
No, actually, quite no. That is another fun, interesting story. So the whole thing of core started way back in sixth semester. No, yeah, it was still in sixth semester, because I was looking at industrial project for my eighth semester, and then I already started reaching out to my cousins and the external family and all my contacts with my father's contacts. So he was also, he's not an engineer, but he was involved in one of the mechanical industries. And then we reached out to multiple people that I knew, of some of them SVPs in most of these companies. And I had option, and then that is how I came across ZF. And then I had two options basically: either intern in ZF in India or go abroad to Germany, where I secured another internship. So I chose the latter and go to Germany, do it, and then while applying, the, the person from ZF had already said, if for some reason you come back to India and then you don't have a job, give me a call because you're coming back from Germany. But that was still sixth semester. Then came the seventh semester of the time of placements, and we had to apply for jobs. And then, okay, at this point, honestly, I was clueless what kind of jobs were available, as are most of the undergrads at that point in time when they're looking for placement. So not a lot of job profiles that you know of, and there are not a lot of job profiles that the companies advertise themselves as well. So just like everybody, we wanted to do core. Let's go core. But what did we want to do in core was quite unclear for me and some of my batchmates as well. So we did land up some offers, one from core, one from ITES, of course, not ruling that out. And then came a point of decision. So some of our placement offers or the actual job contracts were not signed yet, and the joining was delayed several times for some reason as we finished. And then I said, okay, at least let us try these set of options still, because I was already back in India for 3 months, and the joining letters hadn't come. So let's say, okay, at least on a temporary basis, let's go into the core, even though they paid less, to be honest. But let's try it out. What's the harm in trying it out? It was again a role of a graduate engineer trainee. So there wasn't a role that's assigned to it. So you weren't going to a particular role. So you could be still flexible in choosing which role you went to as a trainee. So that is how I ended up in ZF in core. Then eventually 3 months down the line after I joined ZF, I got the other offers. But by then, I'd also have had people from my own batch who joined those companies, and we were already discussing what were the pros and cons of this company versus the other one. And I said, okay, let's give this a shot, stick around, see what comes out. And the biggest part of the difference that was made was actually my manager, my second manager, to be honest, not my first one. It depends to have a good profile as such, and the liking of your job depends also on how the people you work with are. And there I was quite inspired because I knew I could learn from this manager, and that is when I chose, okay, stick around, learn more, and then decide further down the line after my trainee period. But that's how it was. I landed up in a core job.
Sure. So let me, speak particularly about the time when you were sitting for placements, right, in Manipal. So what was your thought process like? Like when you were looking at different opportunities, you mentioned you had offered from a core job and from a ITES. So what was your thought process like? What were you thinking at that point of time, that what should I do? This is something that makes sense.
Okay, so even during the college time, so I knew, well, with the clubs and all, I'd already been involved in robotics and robotics circuits. That was a group back then, it was called. I don't still exist. But yeah, we were involved in the club heavily, me and some of my friends. And we knew we were motivated by tech. We knew we were going core, definitely. And that is when I also got interested in electronics as such and automation. So I said, okay, this is something I needed to explore. And we were looking for jobs, something of that role, which was either out of reach because of my GPA, or for some other reason I just couldn't crack the first or second rounds. So at the end, it became a point of, let's just get something secure. That was the ITES, and then still continue interviewing for my course. And then course, again, I was not being particular on the role because I knew it would be a trainee job. And then after getting into the company is when you would know what profiles are there to be offered. So that was the thought process back then.
Makes sense. So like now if I ask you, right, what would be your suggestion for people who are currently, let's say, in colleges, who are looking at these different options? So what would be your suggestion for them? Because I'm like, it could also be that something that maybe you had known at that point of time, or something that you want to tell them that will help them make the decision.
Yeah, definitely. So the first one is, yeah, I've pretty much already said this. You will not know what profile you will be assigned to as such. But the best thing there is you're coming from Manipal or say any other university, for example. You know your alumni network. Reach out to them or go to your alumni relations officer or someone from there. Reach out to the alumni in the companies or to different companies even of your own branch. And if you want to diversify into consulting, for example, then you also can reach out to them. Just reach out to any alumni who would reply, and most of them would definitely reply. You can reach out to them in LinkedIn. You can send them emails because the admissions office, the alumni office already has your emails. There also, I see these days from the juniors, we have some groups on Telegram, WhatsApp, whatever, where you could reach out to alumni. Reach out, get to know the profiles that are being offered if you have doubt what different profiles are, because I've been a recruiter recently as well. And that is something I see people coming in to a core company and asking, oh, I want this profile. I'm like, sorry, we don't have that profile for you here. That's not how it works. So yeah, that is the definite thing I would say, that reach out, know the profiles. If you have any doubts, alumni is the best place you can get your information from.
If we now talk about your job, right? So you mentioned you were a graduate trainee in the beginning, and now you have grown in your organization also, right? You have spent last 6, 7 years in at the same place. So how have your responsibilities changed, right? And how has your role changed? If you can talk about that, like what it was when you had joined to what it is now.
Yeah. So as a trainee, you would normally be assigned to a team. Doesn't have to be a permanent team. I'm talking from my experience in different industries as well, because I've been speaking to people from different industries. The best thing you do is get in. Given these times, getting a job offer is actually a big thing, and as a graduate trainee, so get in. Don't hesitate on different profiles. You can always get. It's like the first year. If you don't like a branch, just get in and wait just for the next branch the next year. Same thing. So get into a branch, do your best. Show yourself. So that's exactly how I went about it. So I started off in plant quality, because my 8th semester project was also on quality improvements in the industry. So that's immediately how I could be useful to the company. So the company is always looking to make use of you. They're investing on you, and they want some output out of you. So the first thing is, what your 8th sem project was. So it's rather dependent on that. So I got in as a quality engineer trainee, and then by 10 months I'd seen it was a repetitive job, and I knew my ambitions were somewhere around R&D, because being from technical background and electronics and everything, and the product was also a mechatronic product. So it was wind turbine gearboxes. So there we said, okay. And then I reached out to my managers and said, okay, I'm looking at this option of going to this team, and that's where the relationship between manager and you becomes very important. So my manager said, okay, but I don't think you're ready for it. Before you go there, you need to understand your product, because that is R&D, and you don't understand a product yet. You're just fresh out of college. So then he put me into another department called process engineering, and then I spent 3 months there. And at the end of the first year, well, for 1 year 1 month, I moved to R&D testing, and there spent about a good 1 year. And I remember, again, it becomes really important for you to grow and for you to get responsibilities. Nobody's going to hand it over to you. So you have to make a name for yourself. Again, you have to slog. I remember those days when we used to slog 18, 20 hours a day, even sometimes even sleep in the office and get back to it the next day. You have to do it. You have to put some hard time in the beginning, but then that will be helpful. At the end of, say, 2016 is when I decided, okay, my R&D job was still getting monotonous. I mean, we're doing the same thing on different projects. We started off with a 1.5 megawatt product, then we went to a 2 megawatt, and then we went 2.5. But it's the same thing over and over on a new product. Then I reached out to my manager again. Look, and that is when I was even considering master. So the option was either change teams, change my profile internally if my organization would allow it. That was a big if. Then the second one was change a job, but being a specialized guy in something, there weren't many options left. So I had to go to another wind industry, or do my master's and exit. So that is when in 2016 I'd secured an admit from Technical University of Denmark in wind engineering. So it's the same thing again, but specializations again. And then I reached out to my manager. Look, I have two options: either move out or create a new domain here. And then we went into discussions, and that is how I started my own team. But I was still fresh out of college, relatively 2 years into the company, and I wasn't a team lead yet. So I was starting to make my way through creating a own team. And by end of 2018 is when I created a team of myself. So I lead that team right now. That's how the responsibility grew. So now, becoming from a trainee to I'm a team lead already. And I'm starting a new team. And then end of last year was again when I was discussing with my managers, I'm somehow lucky to have these managers because I've changed 3 managers over the years, and all 3 managers have been really supportive. And the latest round of discussions were, okay, now I do a master to make something new out of my team, or I continue here, learn from practical experience, and push myself harder to do my masters while I'm working. So kind of a part-time situation. So that's exactly what we're pushing for. So yeah, that's
Cool.
how it grew.
Okay. I mean, you spoke about masters, right? So,
Mm.
can you like elaborate more on this? Like, why did you feel that there is a need for a master's degree? Although you were rising ranks in your company, right? You were from a great trainee, you are now like a team lead. So, why do you think like a master's degree is important for you?
Um, Good question. So it didn't happen automatically. In 2016 is actually where we were in discussion. So like I said, the job got monotonous, and I had to make a switch. I mean, I could have endured it, but um, I said, okay, no, this is the time that I need to shift, and I realized, okay, I could get an accelerated growth if I do a master, so I could get to these ranks quicker. And I was being honest with my managers, and I said, look guys, this is what I think, that I could go quicker into this place. And they said, okay, what if we offer you the same place? So and now honestly I see what they mean, because I'm still working with people who have PhDs, and they're my team. uh, so I'm not learning as much or as quickly as I would have in a master's, but I'm learning by doing. And that is something I see when I'm recruiting people these days as well. I see people with all these certificates and degrees coming out. And I ask a simple basic question. So how does this work? I mean, they know the application. I'm not saying they've not learned anything. They did. So they know the application, but they cannot explain why this was applied, because it was taught in a classroom where this was a subject of this week, and you're doing a practical on this week. So they know, okay, this week we're doing this, but they don't know in a real world how would you go about applying that. And that is the kind of experience I was getting. And back in 2018 as well, the same thing. So I still want to continue to do masters to help down the road, accelerate my growth. But I see that I'm already growing, and I'm growing by learning. So that is something I don't want to learn. I don't want to miss. So if I had taken the option of back in 2018 that I'd gone to masters again from the same university, DTU again, I would have learned something, but I would have also lost the experience that I would have gained in these 2 years that I took a break out of. And it could have been an arrangement where I would take a sabbatical and come back to the same company. That was also arrangeable. But I still wanted to gain and learn by doing.
Okay. And are you thinking about like masters right now? Like, do you want to go for a masters at some point?
Definitely. So my manager is currently doing his MBA, and he's the head of the department, and he has already a master. So I look up to him. I've honestly openly discussed this with him, and what I plan to do at this moment is start doing my part-time masters, either part-time in universities over the weekends, or basically the work integrated learning programs, or do it completely online. Well, these days everything is online, even a regular degree. But okay, some kind of a master to gain, to learn quicker, and then to be able to immediately apply it. And then eventually, someday down the line, like my manager is doing an MBA as well, because I've most of my friends or our batchmates even um, have done MBAs, yourself included. And I've spoken to some of these MBAs, and I get a different perspective. So they're also techies who move to MBA, and that is the same common complaint that I get from my managers. So you're a technical guy who cannot explain this to the management. To bridge that gap, I think if I need to move further, I need to do an MBA as well. That is where an MBA would help me. So I will decide to do something only if I know the benefit out of it, not just to get a piece of paper that says this is what you've done.
How do you see your career path going forward, right? You mentioned a little bit about it, but like if I speak to you about like a mechanical engineer who is in a core job for 5-6 years, what exactly is the career path like for that person? going
So
forward?
there are yeah, exactly. So there are two things that can always happen. One is, and the same options that are in front of me as well, and I haven't decided quite, to be honest. The two paths that I see for me right now. One is to become a technical expert in the domain that I'm working on, and I've already been a technical expert in some of the domains that would not make sense if I said to anything. So it's something industry specific, but you can technically become do a specialization in a technical domain and become an expert. So there's something called as technical experts in every company. We call them principal engineers or whatever name you want to give it. It's different name for every company. We call them technical experts. Simple. And the other way is to become go into management. So you are a technical guy who can talk to management and get things done for your team. So there are always two career paths in, well, going into core or pretty much any other business as such. And I like to plan my life 5 years at a bunch. So the last 5 years was learn the basics. The current 5 years is to establish myself and my team in a small place in the whole world. So my team is actually a global organization. So we're working with a global team, and it's quite a new challenge for me because I have to work with people with 7 different nationalities in my team, and that's something I'm still learning. It's not easy. You cannot become a leader overnight, and then probably take a decision to continue in my technical domain or move into a management role. But that's 4 years down the line because I'm already 1 year into my 5-year plan.
What would be your advice for people who are looking at multiple career paths right now and are also interested in a path like yours, right? Where you are in a core job, you have been doing it for 6-7 years. So if someone is like thinking about that, what would be your advice for people?
It comes down to a personal decision, but I can try to generalize. So first things first, if you're coming out of college right now and you don't know where to go, like I said, reach out to your alumni network or pretty much anybody in the company. If you're looking at a company where you don't see alumni, just reach out to them and say, I'm interested in your role. I want to know what your job entails or something. LinkedIn is a perfect platform for it. So go reach out to people. People are not going to say no, I cannot help you, but they will definitely reply. And I know at least most of the people I know will reply. That would be the first thing. So if you're looking at multiple options, Google or Quora, or you can get some information there, but the best thing is practically by talking to another human person. Reach out to them, talk to them, and then be open to different profiles, even though if it's not the same thing. I know most of the mechanical engineers, or at this moment when I was still applying for jobs, I was looking for a dream R&D job. I want to do dream R&D things, but there's no such thing as such, where it's still a lot of operational work in R&D as well. And you will still get frustrated in R&D as well. It's the same as operations. So you probably might start out in operations, but you can always make your way from operations to R&D as well. So be open to what profile you have been offered. And yeah, that's your best friend, your alumni network.
So thank you so much
No problem.
for doing this. I'm sure that for people who are looking at this kind of a career path, these points will be insightful. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.